Hi everyone, my name is Laura Degiovanni. We are at Catalysing Change Week 2022. One of the first session probably of this week, education, crowdsource and knowledge, the metaverse, human sustainability. So why do we put together these so much topics in a unique 60-minute session? Well, basically because they are part of the same goal, which is deeply innovating education. I'm joined by Heyne and Kirsty Knowles. The three of us come from very different perspectives and backgrounds and operate in three different spaces. I personally, I'm the founder of TiiQu and Wikipedia, and our focus is trust and distribution of knowledge. Dieter is in the metaverse space, is a metaverse innovator, so it's all about the experience of knowledge, and Kirsty is in the coaching and teaching space, and it's all about human sustainability and how teaching can evolve to make human sustainability possible. The three of us are met in the TiiQu network, and today we are here to share ideas and possibly do our bit to spread the understanding that we are all involved about innovation of education. Now, what is innovation? First of all, probably this is the first question we have to ask ourselves. Innovation is generally considered process by which we renew a product or a service. My personal thought is that if we look at innovation for renewing as a way to renew product, services, etc., we don't really add deep change. However, if we look at innovation as revising how the underlying infrastructure works, well, that's what brings innovation to not to create the same issues that we eventually experience by simply renewing products and services. So I invite everyone to look at innovation in a very profound way, where we try not to replicate the same issues that we are experiencing. So it's not about solving problems, it's about not creating problems. That's my view of innovation. And in this sense, me, Kirsty, and Dieter are all trying to bring in the education space a deep change. So the three of us will talk of three aspects, of three elements that need that contribute to make an innovation happen. I will be talking about the wisdom of the crowd, bringing in the wisdom of the crowd. Dieter will talk about the environment and of education, more specifically of the metaverse, and Kirsty will talk about the attitude of educators. Now, for what concerns me, TiiQu is a network and is a set of technologies. And today I'm here to talk about Wikipedia, which is the latest innovation and initiative launched by TiiQu. As briefly, to give you a brief explanation, the TiiQu network is a network of tribes of individuals, interests, and experts operating in specific spaces who contribute and share knowledge. We think that facilitating talks and events and networking is the best way for everyone to learn on the go, because that's the way we all learn. If we think of what makes what we are and what we bring to the table of our employer, our partners, or our business is the result of the knowledge acquired through formal learning and a lot of informal learning that we have acquired and we are acquiring through talks, conversations, peer-to-peer reviews, or collaboration. And that's what, and because knowledge acquisitions today happens in such a fast way, we think that we need to facilitate this kind of bite-sized knowledge through events and the context where relevant conversations happen and can be digested, accessed and digested by anyone. So that's what the role of the TiiQu network. TiiQu technologies and Wikipedia are all about measuring skills, distributing knowledge and measuring skills. Most importantly, I want to talk to you about Wikipedia and why crowdsourcing knowledge is a key element to increase the average wisdom of the crowd continuously. So today, knowledge and education happens in silos. That's how it has always been. There are qualifications, there are standards that say at what point you know about a certain topic. However, the old context, the legacy methods do not allow you really first to make sure that you know that you have a significant level of knowledge of a certain topics, because learning and education is growing everywhere, and information is everywhere, is not only siloed within a specific context. So we need to find ways, new ways to track and trace the available knowledge wherever this knowledge is, and do not stop at crystallizing knowledge in terms of notions. We needed to find new ways to crystallize knowledge derived from experience, because very often the most important knowledge derives from experience. The second point is to make a measurement of knowledge easy, fast, fair. Today, what happens is that qualifications determine the level of competency of an individual. First, they are less and less able to signal the level of competency, again, because knowledge is everywhere and is not necessarily only limited to the notions that are part of specific courses. And second, they create huge divides. So if you go to a certain school and you have a certain qualification, then you are or you are not, which is very unfair and also quite subjective, finally. So that's why from this reasoning derive the approach that TiiQu has taken about crowdsourcing knowledge and measuring knowledge using the wisdom of the crowd. So how it happens? On one side, Wikipedia is an encyclopedia, an open encyclopedia of questions. Imagine a distributed, decentralized platform where everyone can contribute to questions, and anyone can answer those questions and see what is, if they know, first of all, and second, eventually, what what they don't know. And this way, we solve two problems. The first is that we map the available knowledge from wherever, because everyone can, without necessarily being framed into an educational context, can contribute questions or discoveries or derived from notion from research or from experience. And on the other side, everyone can answer those questions and access knowledge. So we democratize the ability to build one's reputation, basically. And on the other side, we also democratize the access to education and to measuring how much one knows. Because when we go to our next employer or to our business partner, the point is very much what we bring to the table, to the project, to a certain job. And it's not a qualification that allows you to signal what is our potential. So the paradigm of innovating education requires to grow in a context where the available knowledge is mapped in an efficient and real-time way, and to make this happen, the only way is to bring everyone in, so that the mapped knowledge is happens and goes through across any boundaries. That's basically all what I wanted to tell you. The big shift in innovation of education is enabling everyone to participate into the co-creation of knowledge. And to make this happen, the first thing is that we should bring everyone in the access to the available knowledge, so that they can then contribute to co-create and new knowledge. That's the only way to grow exponentially and also to grow in a fair way, where everyone contributes and the benefits of this, let's this circularity of knowledge. So this said, I pass the stage to Dieter, who will talk about the metaverse and the environment where new forms of knowledge can grow and happen. Thank you very much. If for anyone who is willing to have a conversation on the topic or contribute to Qipedia, I invite you to either join me on TiiQu and TiiQu Network on LinkedIn, or join Qipedia, QPIDIA.com, and join as a member and start contributing knowledge. Thank you very much, and let's now listen Dieter Heyne. Thank you. Wow.
Okay, so thank you for the introduction words, and I thought it's a good opportunity not only to talk about the metaverse, but simply show you and then explain the opportunities this new or not so new technology will bring to education. So first here, we are in a virtual space where you can exchange information, talk to other people. I want to show you a small introduction video about education in the metaverse. So you can share content of any kind in a three-dimensional environment. So it's ideal for students for self-studying. You can have digital teaching assistants, which are AI-controlled robots, which can give you an assessment, answer your questions, and so on. And also, of course, have face-to-face meetings with lecturers. You can customize these environments. You can bring in your own content if you are a teacher. You can bring any material in form of images, videos, 3D models, and so on. You can even script your own tests. So here we have an example where we teach about space in space, because it cannot even get better. And so this is, I think, not something completely new, but I think the last 9 months, everybody has heard about the metaverse. Personally, I joined the metaverse already 15 years ago, and very early, I think I had the impression it could be something great for education, collaboration, and that's what or this path I'm following now for many, many years. My company, the Metaverse School, is already in operation since 2017, providing a platform for education. We are cooperating with several universities, and it's already in practice use. And so without further ado, I will give you some more explanations. So here we are. Just a second. So, and first is what's our vision? And our vision is to provide remote education literally for everybody. So if you have access to the internet, you can join the metaverse. And for us, the biggest point is you can join the metaverse without limitation. So it doesn't depend on your geographical location, if you have disabilities, your financial status. Also what we don't want in any case is there shouldn't be a metaverse for the rich. So the thing is, like Laura already explained, the important thing is first to create awareness and then bringing together the knowledge and people who are really thirsty for knowledge. And the metaverse is just another tool regarding this, but I think with the current, let's say, buzz about it, it's something which really is a point of attention, and education can really benefit from this. So what is the metaverse? I've given you 2 definitions here. The first, I don't want to read it. It's a technical one from Wikipedia. The one on the bottom is in my words, and it's as simple. The metaverse is a digital extension of our real world, in where we can socialize, explore things together, create new things, teach, learn, work, and collaborate in the form of avatars, like I've just shown you before. So how can it be used for the preservation and the transfer of knowledge? Currently, the metaverse as a virtual space can hold and store any type of information. So you can bring in audio clips, videos, images, 3D models to demonstrate things. You can even simulate complex physical experiments, because things like gravity and so are there. You can share documents, so it means you can even create a virtual library with tomes of knowledge. You can have, like demonstrating here, you can give presentations. Personally, I'm hosting an online talk show every 2 weeks for a couple of years now, and it's really interesting that usually we have people from 3 or more continents there, and everybody feels like staying in the same room. So this is one of the advantages of immersive environments which the metaverse provides, that you really have this feeling of presence. So this makes it more, let's say, personal, and also I think it's a different approach, since like just having a Zoom meeting or just other 2-dimensional content. Like said before, we can transfer the knowledge in different ways, not only for individuals, but also for groups. So we can provide a huge amount of stored material for self-studying. We can have groups or individuals be supported by so-called DTAs. We call them digital teaching assistants. These are, let's say, avatars not controlled by people, but controlled by an AI, which can, to a certain degree, answer your questions or make assessments of your knowledge and give you some immediate feedback. And of course, we have the classical situations, face-to-face lectures with a human teacher and so on. the key factors for success is not only providing the technology, but it has to be readily available. It has to be convenient, simple to use. So one thing is the technology has to have a flat learning curve so that really everybody is able to achieve the necessary skills in just, let's say, a short amount of time. Also our experience is that students usually are comfortable and moving around within a couple of minutes. So this is usually half the time the professors will take. But yeah, also things have to be simple. We have the ability to create fitting environments and content. So it means you are not limited to a simple brick and mortar building, but you can really create the environments suiting to the topics you are teaching. Like the example before, if you talk about astronomy or space, then why not have the lecture on the surface of the moon or on Mars? So this is the possibilities. They are in principle, they are limitless. And of course, things have to be interactive to keep an audience interested. So it means you can, of course, have a 2-hour lecture in the metaverse, but it's probably will be as boring as in real life. But the thing is, if you just give an introduction and then let the students explore interactive environments, you will have an engagement you've never seen before. Another thing is the metaverse will also provide new jobs in the domains of education. So one will be the immersive coach. This is a new, let's say, job description for people who will be able to teach educational personal lecturers how to use the metaverse for the best benefits. And second is the instructional designer. These are the persons in the US. It's already, it is a real job, and these transform the analog content into a digital form, which can be then presented in the metaverse. The basic requirements, just quickly as a recap: it has to be easily accessible, simple to use. It has to be available everywhere where you have, let's say, at least an internet connection. It has to be affordable, or better, even free to use for students and learners. It's all about people, not technology. Technology is just the tool providing or transferring the information. And as a remark, blockchain, NFTs, VR, AR, all are great technologies with their own benefits, but they are not mandatory for teaching and learning in the metaverse. These are add-ons which can be used in special cases, but these are not the real requirements. As a conclusion, so the metaverse thrives on the diversity of creative people. So it should be really a space for everyone. So it's, like I said, it's not about technology, it's about you, me, and everybody else. So also our aim is to provide access to the metaverse from everywhere on any device. So maybe you have noticed what I've shown you so far. Literally everything here happens in my browser. So I don't need special hardware. I don't need special software to download and to maintain. I just, let's say, click on a link and I'm inside the metaverse. That's our goal, to keep it as simple as possible. So there are at least no physical limits to access the metaverse. It's about inclusion, not exclusion. And my personal opinion is that the metaverse provides new forms of teaching and new opportunities for educators and also for students, because I can now join lectures on a different continent in real time with peers from everywhere. And finally, just last words. So like I said before, I'm a virtual world platform developer since 2017. We are offering this platform to interested parties. We just have signed on a business school in Rome, in Italy, so which will use this platform for teaching. Our focus is on education also, but on business collaboration and community building. So you can simply bring together people with common interests in a, let's say, a new and innovative way. And of course, we are always available to teach interested people about the metaverse and the possibilities in there. And so thank you. 10 minutes are already over. It's always fun talking about
Thank you,
this.
Dieter. Yes,
Yeah.
we move on to Kirsty, and then we take questions at the end if anyone wanted to ask questions.
Thank you, Dieter. And what you are speaking about regarding the metaverse is tremendously exciting. In fact, I already meet with educators and students using different software, and this dynamic and interactive space brings us together in a three-dimensional way. I really resonated when you said that the metaverse is a technology tool that is people-centered. And with this being said, I want to move on to speaking about human sustainability and my thoughts around it for education. This is a concept that I have developed during 21 years in education, and that involved being head of a junior school, living in different parts of the world, and also at the moment I am growing a business portfolio, coaching, consulting and writing, and I am studying towards an MSc in coaching for behavioural change. And all of this brings together inspiration and collaboration in different ways. At a time in the history of education when around the globe there are many calls for reimagining it, I'm encouraging educators to positively and proactively pivot towards a story of education and the teaching profession, which positively manifests human sustainability. From the many lessons learned from how education could have been different, we can narrate a progressive tale in the future, which is transformed from the old, limiting, perpetuating script. First, it's important to note that I think provision for human sustainability is incorrectly assumed and can gain less airtime due to urgent calls for action to improve the environment and economy. I firmly believe that human beings are a precious resource to be cared for, and that it should not take a disruption or pandemic to realize this. If we preserve the viability of people, then in times of chaos, work life would be more manageable. The promising news is that attitudes to sustainability in schools are evolving and the rate of change is accelerating. There are inspiring creative moves for bringing this topic into curricula for students to access interdisciplinary hands-on activities in place-based and service contexts. In this way, the complicated definitions are demystified for children from primary age to tackle global issues from an organically purposeful local context. However, Maslow's hierarchy of needs from 1943 suggests to me that we still need to ensure the basics are met for educators and pupils, creating humane conditions to support ambitious teaching and learning. This ecological sustainability concept views human beings as part of nature. And David Orr, an environmental educator in 1991, encouraged us to use nature as a model for personal growth. And I believe that we can synergize this person-centered philosophy with sustainability in what I am calling human sustainability. I am proposing that we apply the lessons learned and A, develop a coaching leadership style which is more ethically sound, B, learn and teach empathetically with connection to purpose and values, C, cultivate a culture around human capacity for change. This fostering of human sustainability would bring about individual and collective flourishing in and for education. I will begin with my assertion that we need to rethink leadership in education through a different lens. This lesson of learning was deeply emphasized during the COVID-19 pandemic. People matter. A human sustainable ethos is inclusive and embraces diverse thinking. It provides a brave space and a safe framework for inquiry and contributing without interruption, disruption, or fear of being judged. It engenders confident and independent relationships that are interconnected, and everyone can thrive. Reframing the role of leadership enables systematic change, which is vital. People need to feel empowerment in all areas of their life with a sense of authentic autonomy. If rooted in confidence, individuals and adults can co-create, and we coexist in relationships well if equity is upheld. We need to feel appreciated, heard, and included with diversity of thought shared. I encourage, as does Heyne Inam, a fellow executive coach, that we need to shift from a power over hierarchical mindset to a power to mindset. I advocate for us to detach from the concept of leaders as the expert and reconceptualize leaders as energizers of teams and facilitators of agile collaboration. My research of and experimenting with a coaching leadership style shows that it is founded in its care for every individual. It is human-oriented. It actualizes connection with the human beingness of people, going far beyond lip service for seeming to appreciate employees and colleagues. A coaching leadership approach also echoes in part being a learn-it-all leader, remaining curious and being comfortable relying on others who have different expertise. In stark contrast, leaders who demonstrate that they know it all, they tend to disempower, and this can infantilize colleagues and employees, and can easily slip without intent into comments from line managers such as this: "I know I'm right, trust me." Coaching leadership brings humanity. In this way, it can be part of something much bigger. A leader and colleagues can be part of something much bigger than themselves. People within education settings, which are also businesses, can flourish alongside profit. The second lesson learned is the importance of connection with purpose for education to be sustainable. The merits of a collective unified by purpose, values, and vision is far richer than one heroic captain of a ship and all that comes with commissioning individuals or a group of people. And it is more prosperous for the organization. Rutger Bregman in 2021, in his book, Humankind, A Hopeful History, affirmed that the power of people doing their job because they want to do it is palpable. Purpose is at the heart of what engages adults and students in educational establishments. When shared and with alignment, everyone feels connected, and this is regardless of geographical location if the provision is online. This authentic why for being an educator, leading in education, or studying can help find meaning in the sometimes repetitiveness of school life or unforeseen circumstances, such as the unprecedented coronavirus Cairo. Indeed, Paul Zak, a neuroeconomist in 2018, evidenced that working with purpose is a potent oxytocin stimulus. If we know and feel that our work matters, then this ignites different behaviors. introducing a new story rather than settling for the horizontal, everything remains the same plateau. It would be remiss if I did not build on this lesson by urging society to elevate who teachers are and what they add. I believe we need to redirect attention from external scrutiny around outcomes or crude measurement of performance against standardized, imposed targets, which can restrict freedom for educators and students to innovate. For me, the enfranchisement of purpose is in its ability to evolve. It's not fixed. I believe that purpose can illuminate the pathway forward, instill resilience, be a mooring and a compass. I have found that when there is resonance with purpose and it is revered, therein lies human sustainability. The final lesson to be explored in this 10-minute snapshot is the more I feel education could do to foster a culture to nurture and sustain human capacity for change. I feel extremely passionate about this. And I promote a coaching culture which brings about benefit for everyone. Self-esteem builds, teams thrive, leaders advance, performance increases, productivity improves, innovative ideas abound, stimulating a range of new opportunities. Stress is reduced, and people become more open-minded and hearted for change. Its finesse is not managing people, and it's astutely befitting for the education sector currently and in the future. A coaching culture is blame-free because process is appreciated as part of learning. When people work in a psychologically safe environment, they will rise to responsibility and accountability. This is also more empowering and can lead to bringing about meaningful and innovative systemic progress and future-proofing. We all have a fixed mindset in some areas and a growth mindset for others. If we embody concern for the happiness of those with whom we work alongside, mutual care for each other and the organization will follow and embed. With more of a conscientious use of the pronouns we and us, people will feel that they are in it with others together. This was true of upskilling, designing, and delivering digital teaching for students learning from home when schools closed because of COVID-19 lockdowns around the world. It was the gift of technology that afforded continuity for students, not only for their studies, but also for necessary and bespoke pastoral care and safeguarding. Whilst fully appreciating that Wi-Fi is not yet available for all, and there are families who do not have convenient access to devices, I reflected on the significance of accelerated digital skills being a passport to education and moreover, human connection. And so whilst attitudes around having to train to teach in a different way could have been divisive, even initial reluctance from some colleagues was put aside for the deeper need of adapting for education to overcome imposed boundaries. From the lessons learned I've highlighted, we need to equip young people for a global landscape of high change and often ambiguity, with educators who can flex their neuro-emotional agility muscles. I believe this will refresh the narrative for education, and its story would be one of human sustainability. Growing ourselves and students through symbiotic learning will sustain our ecosystem and enable shared prosperity, coaching leadership, and a culture that increases human potential and capacity will bring humility and a unified purpose. This reshaping of relationships with oneself, others, and the earth, and the development of nimble thinking for living and working with greater ease is the creative catalyst I recommend for generation tomorrow. I would love to learn and discover with anyone who wants to reach out. So please get in contact through LinkedIn.
Thank you, Kirsty. Fantastic. really a nice wrap up of human sustainability, a concept I feel very empathic with. Let's move to a wider conversation, but with providing to the audience, if possible, the elements for change. If we have to briefly synthesize what needs to change in the from our perspective, Dieter, what would you say? What would be your suggestion? What needs definitely to change in order for innovation in the education space to happen?
So the most important thing is to create an awareness that technology is not the enemy. Especially teachers are always reluctant to try out and rely on technology. But I think now in the 21st century, there is no way around it, because I think most of the pupils are more advanced in technology than their teachers are. And I think we have to find a way to show that technology itself is just a tool, and it's about the people using the technology, providing the content for new technology in order to improve educational experiences. Because after all, it's not just simply the transfer of knowledge. As educators, we have to create experiences for the students.
It's very much also about who you bring in, right?
Right.
Because yes, technology certainly should not be the enemy, but at the moment is perceived as the enemy. We talked about that. And second, who is going to design the technology in a way that brings in more people and without any divide, right? It's very much about starting with the right design. As Kirsty said, I guess that without technology would have not done or overcome the COVID crisis for sure. But still, I'm afraid that we still need to work on the mindset that that we all have in how the technology and the education is provided. I think. So, what is your point about how knowledge is provided? At TiiQu, we have been working on a lot in creating events because we move from the principle that people is learning more and more by experience, by watching things rather than reading things. Kirsty, what do you think? How do you feel this shift towards the experience rather than the acquisition of notions?
I think that digitally we are experiencing more and more in that visceral way when we're in schools, and that was accelerated because of the need that we had to reach our students and to be able to continue the collaboration online when schools closed during lockdowns. And I think that some schools, especially those that I touch on in London in the United Kingdom, but also through having global conversations as a coach who works with educators, there is a growing appetite. And I think that the more that we meet together on software that is showcasing metaverse opportunities, as I mentioned, we then get a first-hand sense of how it can be three-dimensional. You can have the human being in the room, along with being represented as an avatar, as well as being able to bring in video or any other stimulus for learning. And I think that that widening of online functionality is still in the early stages of being harnessed, but it's promising. Educators themselves can get locked into a plateau of everything remains the same. But even in our language, if we shift it a little bit, and rather than saying that we still fear technology, I think that we can manifest progress by evolving and showcasing that we are playing with it. Students and educators learn symbiotically. So I think more and more the classroom inside and outside of schools is becoming much more of a shared space. And students and educators are bringing their wisdom to that forum and learning from each other. And the more that we give it in bite-sized chunks and make the experience more for different learning styles, we will give access and raise the bar.
I'm experiencing something positive, talking with several higher education institutions who approach the Wikipedia, the participation in the Wikipedia encyclopedia in a way that involves the students and engage them into the co-creation of questions. I'm wondering, what is it? Do you feel, Dieter and Kirsty, you have two different perspectives from technology and education. Do you feel that there is any specific limit or closure that needs to be addressed in order for bringing in innovation in a deeper and stronger way in the education system? Do you think that we need to highlight a specific issue or a specific context where there is a closure towards innovation? So what is really the problem for bringing in? Is that only a mindset problem? It's not only, but is a lot. Or what could make this mindset problem change in order for all of us to bring into the education ecosystem more innovation? What is your suggestion?
I think there are two points. First, of course, we need the infrastructure in, let's say, internet connection and devices. I think this is just, let's say, a financial problem. The others, or the second point, is a bit more difficult, because you not only have to create awareness that these technologies do exist, that they are readily available, but you also have to teach teachers and students alike in using them to their best benefit.
So and education and infrastructure.
Yes.
Okay. Kirsty, what do you think?
I would have to agree that infrastructure is really important to have in place, and different schools around the world and higher ed institutions can have a different budget, of course, and they can also have a different leadership. The reason why, when I speak of human sustainability and the need to rethink leadership and culture, is because the two go hand in hand with creating an ethos of embracing change and having more of a playground to be able to experiment. Workload and how an educator is bound to different duties and responsibilities and what are the priorities in a school will be different. But if we empower educators to be the expert in being the educator, they would then have time freed up to play and to be creative and to be able to join forces with other educators and students alike to suss out how technology could really become such a gateway to understanding knowledge and progressing in learning.
Yeah, the sandbox thing where we can play in is an interesting one, right? That could bring in more comfort in approaching innovative contexts. Standards. Do you feel that standardized systems are refraining from innovating? So the existence of standards in education prevent research from happen. When I say standards, I mean a certain education course end up with a specific qualification. And that qualification, for example, signal your skills. This is something I'm absolutely against. I don't feel that today our skills can be determined by a specific course, because learning is everywhere again. So we could come up to acquiring the same level of understanding of a specific topic without necessarily following a specific course. Do you think, and also we understand and we digest education in a very different way. Around me, there are all young guys at TiiQu, and I tell you, they really approach the acquisition of knowledge in a very different way. It's from them that we have, if you want, invented the idea of bite-sized knowledge and swift hints, which should be the way for providing to everyone the ability to learn without necessarily spending hours, months and years on books. But standards exist, and this may be the limit for accessing to new ways. So a sandbox probably is a good idea. Dieter, have you seen any openness in creating some kind of sandbox for the metaverse, education in the metaverse?
The thing is, thank God, there are no standards, because the thing is, in education, standards usually are chiseled in stone. And I have nothing against standards, but they have to support a cause, not slow down something. And in education, especially in public education, we have standards which are simply too old. They would have to adapt frequently to make a change, because we all know learning is also a personal experience. So it means everybody has his or her individual learning speed and such things. So standards don't help there. Standards are good for providing a basis, but we would need a flexible framework for extending these standards.
We have thank you. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Dieter. Do we have from the audience any question eventually? I saw some questions flowing in the chat, but I saw Dieter answering. If anyone wanted to address a question, we'll have a few minutes, so I'm happy to open the floor to the audience. No question? Very good. So we do have a few minutes for closing this very short session. Kirsty, Dieter, can I ask you, a last thought, not forever, just for the session. A message that you wanted to deliver and leave to the audience in terms of to close and to wrap up this session.
Sure. And just to pick up on a general feeling that education, the system is obsolete, as Roberta has kindly added to the chat. It can be seen that way, and the system, of course, is different to the everyday teaching and learning that can happen. I think there are many conversations happening at the moment around changing the education system, which is a massive topic and a huge challenge, and one that needs to keep going. But I think the metaverse lends itself to seeing it through a different lens. And what I take away from this 1 hour is that education can join forces with the metaverse, and that they are not in opposition with each other. And the educators can pick up on the learning to do game-changing pedagogy and to become more innovative with their pastoral care and safeguarding if time is created within the week that they work. And of course, that comes down to the responsibility of the educator too. So I think as long as these conversations can carry on and educators can develop that sense of connection to purpose, why did they go into education? What do they want to deliver? And pay attention to differentiation, which is what all educators are trained in, then we will bring back that playfulness and try to overcome any standards that are imposed that can hinder, and just keep them for what they are meant to be, which Dieter referred to. Standards are a way to get recognized for something if there is a cause for that. But within the classroom and outside of it, we need to stay as creative as possible, and that comes through sustaining human beings, which is human sustainability.
Thank you, Kirsty. Dieter, do you want to say your word?
Yeah, just a quick thing. Also, thank you, Kirsty. You really spoke my mind. And I also would just address this and say, educators, please think outside the box, use the possibilities technology is providing, and let's say, just live your imagination.
Great. Yes, and to close in the same way, I think that imagination is fostered when the trust is existing. So if people are trusted, tend to be more open to give back, to co-create, to participate. So we as a closing of this session that is very interesting, I think that the underlying enabler of innovation is very much building a culture of trust, where people are brought to contribute and co-create new knowledge and make it available and spread it as much as possible. So I invite any educator to join Wikipedia and possibly the TiiQu network to meet Dieter, Kirsty, myself, and many others, and innovate all together. So thank you very much to everyone for participating, and let's meet the next one again with Catalysing Change, possibly 2023, or TiiQu network, whenever you like. Thank you very much to everyone.
Thank you too.
Thank you. Bye.